UFC Vegas 12. We have a middleweight showdown. Number 10, Uriah Hall is facing off against the Spider, the legend, the GOAT, Anderson Silva. We got a really heavy card on the docket here for Saturday, man. But before we get into that, I want to do a little recap on how we did in the AFC camp for the last card. So I'm joined with my guy AJ as always. AJ, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing real well. Out here living good. How you been?
Right on. We living nice. I mean, it wasn't too hot this week because collectively, me and you both went 2 for 6 with our main card picks, which, like I said, it's not our finest day at the all factors considered camp. But with that being said, let me talk about our sleepers really quickly because we did really well on those ones. So I'm not even going to break it down fully, but I do want to note that for our sleepers combined, we got, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 of 6 finishes. That's what we have combined for our sleepers. 1 fight of the night and a majority draw, which I always think those are great fights because that's such a good fight. You don't know who won, right? So with that being said, sleepers was on point. Main card, we could work on those picks a little bit. So with that being said, give me your reactions, man. Khabib got the job done. He beat the guy who we thought was unbeatable, at least in terms of this matchup. What was your thoughts on the fight, man?
Man, I guess I got 2 big takeaways from the whole card event. One, I'm so happy that we were able to actually get most of our sleepers right, because that's where I take a lot of pride in guessing which fight's going to be so impactful. Because of the main card, a lot of fights nowadays can go one, like it's a toss-up, 2 guys get in there, leather starts flying, who knows what's going to happen. So I take pride in that aspect of bringing those sleepers out, because that makes me happy. Yeah, 2, we can't really, I guess, believe the media hype anymore, man. They were hyping up Justin Gaethje too strong, and I was a firm believer that it was his day, and Khabib went out there and proved everybody wrong. It was absolutely impressive, and he straight mauled him. It was wild. It was crazy to see, and man, it was intense. What are your takeaways from the fight?
Well, hey, that Nurmagomedov fight, that was a mauling. That goes to show, Robert Whitaker said it best, when you make the dude, one of the best dudes in the world, look like not one of the best dudes in the world, you are an amazing fighter. And the same can be said for Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. So, man, my takeaway is this. Alexander Volkov, he did what I hoped he would do. Now, I do want to make a note that the A side went 6 for 6 on the main card. No underdogs, no underdog wins. All the favorites, they shut out their opponents. And Volkov hit Walt Harris with one of the meanest body shots I've seen him react, just like Chikugian. There we go. Chikugian, when she got hit by Andrade with the body shot and just turned away and called it quits. That's what we saw here. So I'm glad because I think Volkov, I mean, he should be a monster. Dude's damn near 7 feet tall, got 80-inch, reach or whatever. He put it to work. Sad day for Walt Harris. But hey, man, really, really interesting to see that he's back in that forward progression. But with that being said, man, let's get into some sleepers. And if you don't mind, AJ, I'd like to start off this time. You dig?
So
I'm starting off with a welterweight bout, man. I got Sean Strickland versus Jack Marshman. And if you are a UFC casual watcher, which is no problem. If you are, you probably don't know who these dudes are. But what you need to know, man, Sean Strickland, in his last fight, he fought more or less a boxing match, man. No kicks, just 1-2s, and he mixed in a few combos there. He got a second round knockout, but how he got the finish is what stood out to me. So this dude was fighting a really tough opponent, Noreen Taleb, and he basically had him up against the cage looking for the kill and started to gas out. But what did he do? He composed himself, refocused, readjusted, and precisely picked his opponent apart until the ref stopped it, man. And to me, that is some UFC savvy that will definitely get you a dub in the highest promotion that there is. Now, he had a minor setback when he got caught by a beautiful spinning heel kick against Zaleski dos Santos. But otherwise, man, he's pretty much handled business against top-of-the-heap opposition. He fought Court McGee, the current champ at 170, Kamaru Usman, Tom Breeze, and Zaleski dos Santos. But he only beat McGee and Breeze. But, I mean, come on, man, that's some names. So the dude he's fighting is very much like his Welshman counterpart, John Phillips, who you heard me talk about recently on this show. Another Wales dude. Another boxer, another dude who, if it goes to the ground, it's basically over for this dude. So what I like about him is dude got 13 knockouts. He can get you out real early. Only one of those have come in the UFC, though. 12 of them came before he came into the UFC. So what I expect to see here is 2 dudes with quick hands, 2 dudes who are fighting for the center of the cage, and 2 dudes who are basically just going to maybe kickbox. This is going to be a boxing match, which is why it is my sleeper. What you got next, AJ?
Man, next up, I got Dustin Jacoby versus Justin Ledet. Now I'm really excited for this one because it's going to be the hands flying, leather throwing, just like we like it, Derick. Now, Dustin Jacoby, he's a long kickboxer coming right out of glory. He's on a 5-fight win streak, very strong, and likes to throw that flying knee. So, look for him to really push the pace, move forward, and land heavy shots. Justin Ledet, he's on a 3-fight loss streak, so he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder coming out of it, but he likes to dogfight and he likes to talk that smack. So I'm really excited to see him fight again. Now, he has a sharp jab and really likes counter-striking, and he's very hard to put away. So both of these fighters like to throw heavy punches like to throw punches in bunches and really tag up the opponent. So we should be in store for a high pace, just swing off. And I'm really excited for this one. Derick, what you got next?
Right on. The next one I got is two 185ers who were on the wrong end of their UFC debuts, which is why you probably have never heard of these dudes. So I got Cole Williams, who is facing off against Jason Witt. And like I said, they both lost their UFC debut. But other than that, they're both 4-1 in their last 5. Williams is 6 foot. Witt is 5'10". They're basically equal fighters, if in terms of measurables and things of that nature. I do want to note Jason Witt is out of Glory MMA, which is it's a nice it's a nice gym that my guy Kevin Kroom comes out of. So he just got a big UFC win recently. I don't know if you know who he is, AJ, man, but that is a gym that we need to keep an eye on. Now, Cole Williams, man, dude, in his UFC debut, he missed weight by 5 pounds and then got choked out with a neck crank by Claudio Silva. So that's karma, right? I mean, that's what you get for you finally get your big shot in UFC and you miss weight by such an enormous amount, right? But in his last 5, dude has 3 stoppages, and 3 of those stoppages came in this promotion called Pinnacle MMA. And if you don't know, Pinnacle MMA is a breeding ground for UFC fighters and other high-level athletes. Bobby Green, for an example, is a fighter who has come out of the Pinnacle MMA regional circuit and whatnot. But back to Cole Williams, man. Dude he likes to come out hot. He has a big Chuck Liddell overhand right that he likes to snag his opponents with, real sneaky. And one of his most effective strikes or techniques is grabbing that left tie. It's like a I don't know what you would call it, but like a Muay Thai, like a TIE tie. You grab it over the head and you bring the uppercut over the, just kind of ripping through. It's one of Justin Gaethje's most effective combinations. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow, that's a page out of Trevor Whitman's book right there. Now, Jason Witt, man, you need to be careful because this dude has had 8 championship fights in his MMA career. Now, they're all regional titles, but he did win the vacant middleweight title in Cage Warriors before making his UFC debut. Right hand is his money shot. He walks his opponents down, mixes it up from the head to the body very, very well. And when he fights, once again, it's going to be a battle for the center of the cage. Both of these dudes are probably going to be duking it out there. However, Cole Williams does have the wrestling advantage, but he only uses it, I guess, when he wants to, I suppose. Not the smartest way, but a great sleeper. What you got next, AJ?
Man, Derick, next up, I'm excited for this one because a lot of the time, sometimes, like with these last fighters you just mentioned, your UFC debut doesn't go quite well, and sometimes the fight you get most recognized for in your past doesn't go quite well. And that's the way with this next fight, Alexander Hernandez versus Chris Gutermacher. I know I butchered that name, excuse me. But Alexander Hernandez, his most famous fight to me was his loss against Donald Cerrone because he was doing pretty well. He was putting it to him. He did get finished by a head kick and punches, which is unfortunate, but he looked rather impressive. Now, Alex Hernandez, he's very fast and explosive. He can strike and wrestle very well. He's real well-rounded all day long. Now, he has a very high fight IQ and very good lateral movement, all right? Now, Chris, I'm not even going to try the last name again. We're just going with Chris. Another very strong all-around fighter, and his elbows are fierce in the clinch. And what made me excited about this fight with him, specifically against Alexander Hernandez, he walked down Joe Lozon in his last fight. Now, I don't know if you know who Joe Lozon is, but he's been a long-time savage killer, and walking him down is no small feat, even though he's a little bit past his prime. So I'm really excited for that because he looked like an absolute beast, And I think this is going to be a hard test for Alexander the Great coming up. What's your next sleeper, Derick? What you got?
All right, well, we hitting some 155ers next, man. The most stacked division in the UFC. But these are some people that you've heard me mention before on this program. So I'm not going to go super in depth into all the measurables and whatnot, but I do want to note they're very evenly matched. Green at 5'10", Moises at 5'9", Green with a 71-inch and Moises with a 70.5-inch reach. Green at Pinnacle MMA, like I said. Moises at American Top Team. This is what you need to know, man. Bobby King Green, let me be specific, man. He just showcased what he can do against a fighter who is rangy and utilizes a lot of kicks at unorthodox angles in his rematch with Lando Venata. And he secured a 30-27 decision in that win, marking his second of 3 wins in 2020. This is his 4th fight in 2020. This dude has been on a tear. He's the king of the UFC Apex Center. But he got that win by doing what he does best, which is controlling the center of the cage and utilizing his kickboxing and his body work, man, and his head movement as well. So one thing to note, man, Bobby Green keeps his hands real low and he eats shots at time, man, but he's one of those fighters where that's just part of the game, man. He did make a note that, and I got a quote for you, AJ, so I'm bringing in something new into this show. He did make a note in the pre-fight interviews that he feels less pressure to be a showman with no crowd there to watch, and the lack of crowd has helped his performance in the cage. Now, Thiago Moises, he does need to be wary of Green's ground and pound if he goes in and tries to shoot in for another heel hook like he did against Michael Johnson in his last fight. And that brings me to Thiago Moises. That's what he's trying to do. He wants to fight you on the ground. Now, I really like Moises, man. I really like this dude because he has experience with bigger fighters. This dude, he trained with Dustin Poirier for the Michael Johnson fight. Dustin Poirier is a big 170. Now, he used to fight at 155, but Poirier is like a big, welterweight, right? Welterweight right now. So I thought that was really impressive. Now, Moises, he's fought in 5 main events between LFA and RFA. So the dude has experience. He can give any contender a run for their money right now. And he's at his best when he can mix in his punches and his kicks together, because when he can't do that, when he's on the back foot, then that doesn't allow him to, shoot for a takedown, because then he's shooting in blind. So when he gets put on that back foot, his offense really, really stagnates, and it becomes more of a, just kind of getting walked down, walking in circles type of situation. Now, lastly, to touch on this, man, his right high kick is by far his most dangerous weapon, followed by his right hand and his calf kicks. And he noted in pre-fight interviews that he's looking to walk forward and finish this fight. He gave Michael Johnson too much respect in his last outing, and that is going to change this Saturday. It's going to be a sleeper, and then we're going to talk just a little bit more, when we hit these actual main card picks. So let me hear your last sleeper, AJ.
Man, last up, Charles Ontiveros, versus Kevin Holland. Now, this is a last-minute replacement to one of the fights on the main card, but I'm really excited because this long, lanky southpaw is making his debut, Charles Ontiveros, and he's very fast and has great kicks. What excited me about him when this fight got added to the card, and then I researched a little bit into Ontiveros, I'm really excited because his last 5 fights have all ended in KO or TKO, whether he's on the winning side or not. So he's about to leave it out there, go out on his shield, or ride out in victory with pride, man. So I'm really excited for this. This fight's going to be fast and action-packed. Look for Holland to talk a bunch of trash and baptize the UFC newcomer into this game. And Ontiveros really to try to make a statement and silence him, because he's going to be talking that whole time. Now, Kevin Holland, like I said, he likes to have fun when he's in there, and it really shows because he's mouthing off the whole time. Very fast and very fun to watch. Doesn't mind to trade shots when the pressure's on, which is a good quality to have when you're talking smack, because they like to bring all that intensity and fire crazy shots, and you're still there talking the same amount you were talking while eating shots. It's really disheartening for the opposition. Now, this is his 3rd fight in 3 months, which, again, you love to see as a fighter because he's staying hungry and he's staying scrappy. And like you said, Derick, he's a little more that's with Bobby Green, you're saying he's a little more focused. Same thing with Kevin Holland. He's able to just focus on the opponent and really get the work done in there. Now, personally, if like I said, with the 3 fights going on in 3 months, Kevin Holland, he's kind of not really become a sleeper. He's becoming more of a fan favorite. A lot of people are starting to see him. But what makes this a sleeper for me is Ontiveros. In order to take a 4 or 5 day fight notice with a savage like Kevin Holland, who's going to and has been proven to embarrass you while punching you in the face and talking smack, you really got to be a little bit of kind of crazy. And that's, Ontiveros is lucky if he brings that crazy to the fight, because it's going to make for insane action-packed chaos, and I'm really excited about it. What's your we're on to main picks, are we not?
Yeah, we on to the main. You just pulled a me. Yeah, man, we on to the main picks. It's all right. It happens to the best of us, man. So this first main card, the first matchup we have on the main card is the sleeper that I just broke down, Bobby Green versus Thiago Moises in the 155-pound division. And all I want to say about it is this, man. Bobby Green, his last 5 have all gone to decision, man. So he's tough to get out of there. And when he gets people out of there, it's still pretty tough. Now, Thiago Moises, very much a decision fighter as well, but his last fight, like I said, second round, as soon as the bell, went off, he went and he got that heel hook on Michael Johnson, and then against Gleedson Curtis, he got a head kick knockout. That was very beautiful, and I think that as fans, that's what we're chasing for Moises. Like, that's what we want to see from him, and we're holding on to that. So he's still getting picked as a winner in a lot of his bouts. Now, the real information you need to know, me and you both, AJ, to make a pick on this fight is that Bobby Green is a 2-time Fight of the Night winner. He's a BJJ blue belt, and he made his MMA debut in 2008. Now, Thiago Moises, BJJ black belt, and he is I'm going to butcher the acronym, but it's like IBJFF gold medalist, which is like top tier jiu-jitsu in Brazil and whatnot. And he made his MMA debut in 2012, won the lightweight title in Resurrection Fighting Championship in 2016, and defended it twice. So now with that information there for us, man, who are you going in this fight, AJ? Who are you picking? And
in this fight, Derick, Bobby Green versus Thiago Moises, I guess what made me come to my decision is, you think Bobby Green, you think he's a brawler, but this dude's really a technician, you know? He might walk you down with that, like, heavy forward chest, hands low. We're about to see it, and it makes for a great fight. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But he really knows the ebb and flow of the fight game, and he's really able to play that chess, which makes it very exciting. And I think the UFC seems to be testing Green by giving him, all these Brazilian jiu-jitsus who are coming just to shoot and look for, ankle picks, leg locks, all that crazy stuff that is known to put strikers out. But personally, I think it's going to be Bobby Green by decision. What do you think?
So I'm going to have to go right there with you, not only because of what you mentioned, but because, like I said, Moises, his offense stagnates when he's put on his back foot. And if there's one thing we know about Bobby Green is he will take the center of the cage and he will walk you down. So with that being said, the best shot at victory, I think, for Moises is taking it to the ground. And I don't know if Bobby Green's going to let him take it there. So I'm going to go Bobby Green. I'm going with a decision win. But the last thing that impacted my choice was dude has a decision win over Clay Guida, which is very tough to do, man. Dude's got unlimited gas tank. Dude's one of the hardest people to get away. That speaks a lot of volume to me, just like how you said the volume that it spoke where Joe Lauzon was getting walked down. Like, it's that type for me. So that's who I'm going with in this one. Now, the next matchup we have is an interesting one, AJ, man. We have Maurice Green versus Greg Hardy, some big boys, some heavyweights. And, Greg Hardy, I don't know if to you he is a bona fide, MMA fighter now. I don't know if that's how you feel or if you still feel he's more or less of an athlete. But, give me your thoughts on this, and then I'll go into mine, AJ.
My thoughts on this, we'll start with Greg Hardy. Now, I guess the most impressive thing to me, and you got to respect it as an actual, MMA practitioner, is this dude has grown. Yep. Despite his past, despite, where he came from and all the, he was a professional football player, all his personal drama aside, this dude has been able to take the art of fighting and go from just swinging hands and hoping you're going to connect to actually, in his last fight against a Castro, weather a storm and be able to counter strike and slow the game down. So I think that's what makes him, in my opinion, growing into a full-blown mixed martial arts practitioner. And it's exciting to see, especially because when this dude first came onto the scene, I wasn't a fan. I wouldn't even say now I'm still a fan. He's just not my kind of person. But he's been able to transform from that brawler to technical striker, and you like to see growth in anybody, to be honest with you. Now, Maurice Green, I'm not even going to say it. I think we already know. It's back there. He's got the best camp, I think, in the world, all right? But he himself, he strikes like he's in like a 185 or like a middleweight. He keeps light, he keeps his guard high, and he's fast, in and out, explosive, but he doesn't really have that KO shot like I guess got proved, like I was saying last week, but got proved wrong, like Alexander Volkov. You know, he'll keep touching you, he'll keep putting it on you until he just eventually wears you down. Whereas Greg Hardy, the only difference in their striking, because he too is also very light and bouncy on his feet. Greg Hardy can put you to sleep with one shot or the other, you know. So I'm actually excited. I love seeing these big dudes go at it, especially when it's not just a slugfest, it's actually a technical match. Personally, I think it's going to go deep waters for the big man, 3 rounds. I'm going Green by decision. What do you think, Derick?
Well, Maurice Green, a.k.a. the Crochet Boss, man, you know, he's a real interesting heavyweight with how the division looks right now. I really believe that, you know. Dude is super athletic, just like a Greg Hardy. He's very athletic, but he throws a really wide array of strikes, from, you know, axe kicks to high kicks to, you know, knees down the pipe, whatever it is. Now, of course, the last place that I want to see this dude, Maurice Green, is flattened out on his back because, you know, it might sound contradictory because he has 5 submission wins underneath his belt, but listen, when he fought against Alexei Oleinik, he got put on his back and he got put into an armbar. He had all of his success on the feet in that matchup. And I mean, you know, he said in his pre-fight interview that Greg Hardy has his undivided attention and he's not taking him lightly. One man is going to walk out a winner, one man is going to walk out a loser, and he's already made his decision. I think that this is going to be a contrarian pick, and I'm going Maurice Green by decision, but part of my mind says Maurice Green by submission because Greg Hardy's never seen it, and we know Greg Hardy is not going to wrestle this dude. And let me just hit my piece on Greg Hardy. I really think he's much more of an athlete than he is an MMA fighter. I do agree. You have to give him his respect because you know, dude found out how to handle adversity. He broke his hand in the fight versus Volkov and had to adjust. He said that was the first adjustment he's ever made in his career. He's not going to wrestle. He's looking for the power. I love his big jab, and I love that he has the best quote of all the pre-fight interviews. He says, I have a set of cojones that are unmatched, and I'm one of the most dangerous people on the planet. I think it's a little too early to say that. Dude only got, he's 6-2, 3-2-1 in the UFC. Little early to say that. So yeah, Maurice Green, Crochet Boss, either by decision or by submission, but my official pick will be decision win. Now let's head into the next one, which was one of your sleepers, AJ. So we really don't need to hit this super duper in depth, but we got 185 Kevin Holland versus Charlie Ontiveros, and I do want to make note, because I'm really not going to say much. Kevin Holland, we already know about this dude. He's not even a sleeper anymore. Ontiveros, we don't really know much about him other than I'm almost sure he got knocked out really viciously by Michael Venom Page in in a early Bellator fight ever. So there's that. But yeah, he is a powerhouse. But here's the one thing why this fight isn't going to be close. Charlie Ontiveros is making his 185-pound debut versus Kevin Holland, which is adding to the list of fighters who unfortunately have to make their UFC debut against this guy, man. I don't know why the UFC keeps feeding him these opponents. Well, I do know it's because he keeps getting opponents pulling out and they have to give him short notice fights. But the point is, a 170er who has power, is that going to translate over to 185? You know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing as Jessica Andrade moving up from 115 to 125, right? So I'm going Kevin Holland knockout round 1. I don't think it's even going to be close, but I'll let you get your thoughts off, AJ. What are you thinking?
No, I mean, you hit on all the points, Derick. I guess the biggest thing I want to say about Kevin Holland, I already gave the breakdown. I really like this dude as a striker, but my favorite strike he brings to the table, he throws this tricky step-in elbow. Look for it during the fight, but he'll throw like a jab or a cross just to kind of get the range in. And if once he gets close with his fist, he just steps in, pulls that elbow and slices, man. It's really beautiful. It's like John Jones when he first figured that one out, landing it on everybody. It's really smooth. Now, like you said, man, I guess one of the biggest aspects, besides what we were talking about earlier, is he's fighting. Ontiveros is fighting at what would be his like actual normal legitimate weight. So we don't know if this dude was training and just eating kind of poorly, or whether he wasn't training at all and they hit him up like, yo, man, you want to fight? He's like, I'll take a payday. So it's exciting to see, and it makes for a little bit more drama, especially, I guess, in my book, because Holland and Ontiveros can add a little, they can actually talk to each other and get crazy, and we can have one hell of a show. Personally, I think it's going to go a little bit like how the Buckley fight did, where Holland was able to weather the storm, make the young man wear himself out, and then just put him to sleep with a precise 1-2. I'm going Holland KO round 2.
Yeah, right on, man. Sounds about right. So the next one we got, man, is a co-main event, but in all honesty, I didn't put it down as my sleeper, but I truly feel like anybody who is watching right now, you probably don't know who either of these people are. You might have heard of Bryce Mitchell because of how he hit the twister in his last fight, but nobody knows these people. So this is a battle of the featherweights, man. We got number 15 ranked Bryce Mitchell facing off against Andre Fili, who I feel is for some reason like, you know, one of the highest level unknown dudes in the UFC, man. I really feel that way. But let me break it down real quick. Now, Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell, first you're going to have to see, look at the shirt in the back. This is what he does. He cooks his opponent to the bone. That is a Thug Nasty t-shirt right there. And in my opinion, he's cut from the same cloth as a Claudio Silva or a Thiago Moises in the way that he presses forward with the sole intent to take you down and actually fit his game to his strong suit. You know, so like Mitchell, he matched up against Matt Sales 2 fights ago, who's a dude with eight wins under his belt with a 75% knockout clip. And from the get-go, Mitchell walked forward, took him to the ground, and that was it. That was the end of the fight. Dude just had him on the ground until he got him in an armbar or whatever submission and got him out of there. Now, that's the game plan. Like I said, cook him to the bone. But Andre Fili, we need to talk about this guy, man. People aren't giving him the respect that he deserves. They're truly not. And from, you know, a casual fan's perspective, I can understand it. But this dude has 15 UFC appearances underneath his belt. Dude, he's fought the likes of Charles Jourdain, Sadiq Youssef, Michael Johnson, Artem Lobov, Calvin Kattar, and Uriah Rodriguez. Now, out of those fighters that I just named, Fili only beat Jourdain. But that's not the point. The point here is dude has a lot of experience, man. Dude is seen it all. He's done it all. Seen so many different looks. And in his last fight, he showed against Charles Jourdain, he showed that he's willing to take risks. And that is what's really, really important, because Mitchell being a grappler, I mean, this dude is going to take a risk with a grappler when he took risks with Charles Jourdain, who was one of the, you know, most flashy strikers in the UFC. So to conclude, man, 4 of Fili's 6 losses are via decision. And he noted in the pre-fight interview, you know, I love the pre-fight interview, that he feels that he's better than Bryce Mitchell on the ground and everywhere else, and he's going to dictate the fight and do whatever he wants in there. Now, this is a dude who is fighting Bryce Mitchell, who put Charles Hossa, a BJJ black belt, in a twister for like 3 rounds and just completely embarrassed this dude. So now I know it's not going to be popular, AJ, and it might not even make sense based off of what I just said. Even though I got a wrong thumb, cook him to the bone t-shirt in the back, I'm going Andre Fili by a decision win, man. I don't know if Mitchell will be able to get this boy on the ground. So what are you thinking about this fight, man? Who are you going with and why?
Man, I agree with basically everything you said. Like you said, Andre Fili, he's a longtime veteran of the game. He's been in there with some of the best in the 145 division, but he has lost to some of the best in the 145 division. So it's a kind of an up and down for him. I really like him because he's able to maintain forward pressure. And he likes to be in that firefight, trading shots. He has a weird style where he walks you down, or he walks his opponents down. He's kind of a little herky-jerky, but it comes out smooth in the end. Like, he's real herky-jerky to start, so he's hard to hit, but his technique and his precision and his strikes are extremely smooth. It's impressive to see. Now, Bryce Mitchell, I mean, what's there to say besides this dude hit, I think it was the first or the second ever twister.
Second,
and
yep.
Then he, in his last match against Charles Hossa, literally put it to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, really put it to him and had him basically running his own wheel. It was absolutely insane domination of this man. I think if Fili is able to keep the fight standing, it'll be interesting to see the striking ability against Mitchell. But personally, I think Mitchell's just going to dominate the fight again and take things to the ground and submit Fili. I'm going Mitchell, submission round 1.
Hey, man, trust me. Like, this is one of those things where I let myself, my own biases, dictate who I was picking in the outcome in our last card. And this one, I didn't want to do it. So, like I said, I got to represent. I got the shirt in the back. But, man, this is one of those things where I think that UFC experience, that veteranship, is going to, it's the intangible. It's, you know, it's the thing that you can't touch, but it really matters. But anyways, man, the moment we've all been waiting for. Listen. This is a very, very important match, and we're going to break it down a little bit differently. So we have a battle of 185ers. Once again, the main event of the evening, number 10 ranked Uriah Hall versus the legend, Anderson Silva, man. And I think, AJ, we could break format here, and I think you know who's going to win this fight. I feel like I know who's going to win this fight. So instead of breaking down either of these fighters, what I would like to do is take a trip down memory lane with you, man. And I want to make this the Anderson Silva show, because this is not about Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is also at the tail end of his career. Dude is Anderson Silva light, a very poor man's Anderson Silva. You know what I'm saying? So let's make this the Anderson Silva show, and let's take a trip down memory lane, man. What are your favorite moments from Anderson Silva's career? Or you don't got to give me a bunch of them, but just throw out one, maybe two of them.
I gotta say, when I think about my favorite Anderson Silva moment, it was probably, I had to have been in, I think, 8th, maybe 9th grade. We were all gathered around my friend Joey's living room TV watching Rich Franklin versus Anderson Silva. And me at that time, really starting off in kickboxing and kind of getting a little bit into like where I'd say the middle of karate was, his striking and his way where he was able to see the punches coming and just dip and able to drop him in retreat with a check left, so smooth and silky that it was just the epitome of what you want to see as a counter striker. And man, that was absolutely beautiful. It'd always be in my head watching just an absolute dominance put on him. I don't know. There's so many to choose from. It's almost hard to say which one was the greatest, but I think that's one of the ones that sticks out for me, Derick. What do you think?
Well, before I get into some of my favorite Anderson Silva moments, man, I actually took the time to prepare something I wanted to say, because this is how much Anderson Silva means to me. This dude is the reason, he's one of the reasons, like I told you off air, along with the Chuck Liddells of the world, the Rampage Jacksons and all that, who really made me fall in love with this sport. So this dude means a lot, man. He's a part of my childhood, literally. So there's not much I can say about Anderson Silva that has not already been said before. And because of this icon of MMA has done so much for the sport and is one of the primary reasons I fell in love with MMA, I don't think talking about any of his fights and all that, does any justice, man. The Anderson Silva that we know, the Anderson Silva we grew up watching, went on a 17-fight win streak that spanned from 2006 to 2013. And in that 17-fight win streak, only 2 of those fights went the distance, man. The myth, the legend, has knockout wins over Stephan Bonner, Chael Sonnen, Vitor Belfort, Damian Maia, Forrest Griffin, Dan Henderson, Patrick Cote, Rich Franklin, Chris Lieben, and Nate Marquardt. Like, this dude has beat all the legends of UFC. It's not even close, man. So, I'll say I have two. I have a tie for my favorite moments for Anderson Silva. The first one was the day he stepped onto the UFC scene, man. Literally his UFC debut, when he absolutely starched Chris Lieben in the first round. Now, Chris Lieben, people forget, this is the crippler, dude. Like, this dude was legit, man. And he stopped him in the first round of his debut. And Chris Lieben, dude, was on a 5-fight win streak before facing Anderson in 2006. And now, the other one is the one that doesn't count, but it is one of my favorites. You know it. I know it. It's the front kick. I don't even need to say anything else other than that. But it's the front kick heard around the world, and it's another 5-fight win streak that Anderson Silva put a halt to the day he knocked out Vitor Belfort, TRT Vitor, after Belfort just knocked out Rich Franklin in the first round. The Spider was something else entirely, man, and I really hope that this is the conclusion of his MMA career, man. I know win or lose, this is most likely going to be his last fight in the UFC. That's why, you'll see up top it says Anderson Silva retirement bout, but I don't know, man. What do you think comes next for the Spider? Do you think it's time to pack it up and call it a day? Or do you think that any further fights after this just continues to tarnish the legacy? The dude has only won 1 fight since 2013. What do you think, AJ?
I don't know if it's possible to tarnish the legacy of Anderson Silva, just specifically on the vault of work he has on his past pedigree. Because they're going to run, UFC promotions all the time, and that intro always has that front kick.
Oh, yeah.
So, the GOAT's always going to be represented. And I wouldn't say, especially with hardcore fight fans or people that do it, that at a certain point you get past your prime. Not everybody can be the Mike Tyson and the Roy Jones that are, 40 plus, just going out and killing people in the ring, and it's absolutely incredible, But I'm looking for him to kind of put an end to his career, Anderson Silva, specifically because we were talking about it before, man. That last fight against Jared Cannonier, it hurts to watch a great get hurt. It's sad to see. You hate to see anybody get hurt, But when an absolute legend is being taken almost advantage of, it feels like, against younger fighters, it's sad to see. So I really hope he's actually able to transform from a fighter to possibly a coach and actually usher in the next generation of Brazilians into this game, because we know that the BJJ down there is absolutely flawless. But hopefully he can bring that tricky strike into the mix, and we can see a lot more people coming down there with better hands and better feet and better all-around game. I guess that would be my biggest hope for what's going to happen with this fighter.
Right on, man. I hope all the best for Anderson Silva. Like you said, I do hope he transitions into some level of coaching or some level of mentorship for these fighters, because at this point, this is what the UFC does, is they take their legends, and it's sad, but it's the name of the game. They take their legends, and now all of the legends become stepping stones for the young up-and-comers who are trying to make a name. And what's better to make a name than beat Anderson Silva? Jared Cannonier did it. It's what really propelled him up the rankings. Izzy Adesanya, I mean, that was like, I understand it. I get the matchup. I get the styles. I don't think, and it was ever in question who was going to win the fight, man. That's just one of those things. So I'm tired of him, other people making a name off of his name. So with that being said, I don't want to tarnish nothing else no more. Anderson Silva is the GOAT. We talking John Jones and Khabib. I don't know why we forgot about Anderson Silva. I get it. He tarnished. I mean, like you said, there's no such thing as tarnishing when talking about this guy. But, I mean, a lot of losses since 2013. So I get that point. But give Anderson Silva his respect. And when you got a little bit of time before Saturday's fight, go hit up YouTube and just watch a highlight reel. Dude's got like a 7-minute highlight reel of all his finishes, which is crazy. 7 minutes, dude. Like, that is a ridiculous amount. So, do you got any last words for the people, AJ?
Man, my biggest thing for y'all is just subscribe. Make sure you like, drop everything you can. The support helps, and we love to see it. And we love to see y'all. So happy to be here again, Derick. Thanks for having me on, man.
Right on. As always, man, give us a follow at Instagram. New Instagram. Whoa, there we go. At All Factors Considered. It'll be in the link in the description below and all that good stuff. You can hit us up at our website for absolutely free at portlandfreethinkersclub.com/AFC. Once again, we'll be in the description, all that. We didn't really hit on it because we're not the most celebratory people in the world, I suppose, but this fight's happening on Halloween, so going to be spooky season for it. I hope we see some spooky upsets because it's Halloween. But without any further ado, man, that's all we got for you this week. Let us know who you got in the comments below, and we'll catch you on the next one. Until next time, peace.